Hey, how's it going, folks? This is Ryan Velasquez, and you're listening to the Front Row Podcast on FrontRowReservation.com on this lovely Tuesday, April 5th, 2016. How's it going? How's it going? It's been a little hiatus, I know, in between episodes here, which yeah, hiatus probably an accurate description for a 3 month gap in between episodes. I've been putting most of my time into writing on FrontRowReservation.com. For those of you listening to this on SoundCloud or YouTube, go check out the website. Been writing a bunch on there, but going to try to get mix the podcast back into things here. Hopefully, be on here about once a week to ramble on about whatever it is that's going on out there. And fortunately, today we got a lot to talk about. Got plenty to talk about. Maybe not quite as much over the next few weeks, but today we do. For those of you who didn't watch last night, pretty good game. Pretty good way to cap off a really good tournament across the board. I don't know, not everybody is fond of the upsets in the first few rounds, but we had plenty of them, and I always enjoy a little bit more unpredictability over the first 4 days of the tournament, and we certainly had plenty of that. Really didn't disappoint at all. Not too many surprises from that point on. Final Four was kind of a bore from an entertainment aspect, but got our money's worth last night. North Carolina and Villanova down to the wire. Villanova hits the game winner at the buzzer to win their first title in 30 years, I want to say. I think it was 1985. Spoilers for those of you who didn't watch it for whatever the reason may be. But yeah, that was a good one. That was a really good one. We hadn't had a competitive national championship game, one that close anyway, in a few years. What was it? Was it Duke Butler that was the last good one? Let me take a look at this. I want to say that was the last time we had a pretty good one down the stretch. That was what, 2010? Yeah. So that was nice. We've had some snoozers over the past few years, so it's good to get a good one in there last night. And yeah, good for Chris Jenkins, the South Carolina native, born in South Carolina. Didn't play his high school ball here, but good for him hitting the game winner there at the buzzer. Gives Villanova the championship, and proved doubters like me wrong. That's for sure. I was among those that was leaning on their track record over the past 5 years when I filled out my bracket, and sure wouldn't mind taking that decision back at this point. Just glad I didn't lose any money on it. But yeah, that was a good finish. And again, we got another year of March Madness, where there's nothing mad or chaotic about the champion, the final champion of it all. I know it had been 30 years since Villanova won, but it's now been 2006 was the last time we had a first-time champion to win the whole thing. So a lot of all of you who are into the parity sort of thing and among sports, not a whole lot of it going on at the top here. But that was a good one. That was good to see a finish like that. I really am not particularly fond of North Carolina, but yeah, those guys, I thought they handled themselves well, conducted themselves well in the post-game, the interview sessions. I thought for a bunch of young guys, or were they mostly 19, 20-year-old kids, they handled themselves well, and that's good to see. We don't see that all the time anymore. So I was impressed with their composure afterwards. It was a hell of a game, a hell of a run for those guys. So it was nice to cap off the tournament that way. And like I said, my bracket, for those of you that care, most of you probably, everybody's talking about their bracket and their picks and all that sort of stuff over the past couple of weeks, but we're going to talk about it a little bit. Um, Against the spread, came out 31 and 36 over the course of all those games, which is not that good. So my reputation for picking March basketball games is fully intact. If you remember my column last year, going into March Madness, I broke it down pretty clearly as to my ability to pick college basketball games come tournament time. And yeah, some things don't change. Some things just keep on going the way they're going. And as far as picking college basketball games is concerned, I'm right there where I've always been. So that's just how it goes. But yeah, it was a fun tournament. Got to write a bunch about it. A lot of stuff up there over the past couple of weeks on the website, so that's been fun. So time to move on to what's next. And fortunately, we got some stuff coming up, but for the next few weeks, it'll be a little bit slower, unfortunately. Although it's we got baseball getting going again, and being a Colorado Rockies fan, that's not quite as exciting as those of you who cheer for teams who actually win baseball games on a regular basis. But first month's always fun when your team's actually relevant for a little while, so that's good. I was been able to catch a few innings the past couple of days, and that first week especially is always good. And I've actually got a column coming. Two columns, really, over the next couple of days, breaking down my forecast for the season for the National League and the American League. If you remember last year, for those of you who are regular readers of on the site, I'm breaking it down in a Game of Thrones theme again, even though Game of Thrones is getting started a little bit later this year than we're used to. I've gone through and comparing each team to one of the many interesting individuals in the Game of Thrones universe. So look for that. Hopefully, I'll have part one online by sometime tomorrow. Part two should be up pretty quick after that. So that's been fun again to put that together. We still got a few weeks till season 6 of Game of Thrones kicks off, but obviously baseball in full swing. So I'm not going to get into my predictions and takes and comparisons, all that fun stuff on here. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. That's going to be up. Hopefully, get part one up tomorrow morning, sometime before noon tomorrow. So, but yeah, we've got sticking with the newsworthy past couple of days that it's been for the world of sports. Finally got to catch that much anticipated interview with our friend Greg Hardy on ESPN. He chatted it up with Adam Schefter for a few minutes. Those of you who haven't been following Mr. Hardy's ordeal as he sits comfortably on the free agent market. For whatever the reason may be, I'm not sure who's giving our friend Mr. Hardy advice on how to handle his interviews and opportunities to speak out on what has not been a very good couple of years off the field. But for whatever the reason may be, he seems to be living in in a world of denial, because that guy has no idea how serious his situation is. And I think that we've reached a point where that lack of understanding, I don't think we should call it ignorance, lack of understanding, I think might be all she wrote for his once promising career. If you haven't seen the interview yet, I think they just released it. They've had little snippets of it the past couple of days, but I think they just released it in full today. Um, it's incredible to see a guy who did not get charged or had his charges dropped for the domestic violence situation. But after the photos that were released during the season, you saw them. They're just incredibly, horribly graphic photos of his, I guess, his girlfriend, fiance, whoever she was. Just, just bruises all over her back. I mean, they're all over the. You could Google it; it'll be the first thing that pops up if you haven't seen them. But very clearly took a beating from this behemoth of a man, and just clearly, yeah, I don't know what else you need to see. There's no video like Ray Rice, but if you looked at those photos from the initial uh, arrest scene or crime scene, whatever you would call it, the initial photos that were taken from that, if you can look at that and you still are like, well, maybe he didn't, then I don't know what else you need to see. But anyway, back to to today's the interview that was released today. That dude's living a dream world. That guy, either somebody told him to not apologize or fess up or whatever it is that is the world is demanding from him. He doesn't seem to have a clue. He's going on and on about growing up in the Bible Belt, and because of that, he's never put his hands on a woman, and because of that, we shouldn't believe these images that we've been given, and so on and so just a bunch of nonsense. Doesn't make any sense at all. And then when Schefter asks him what exactly did happen, he pulls the old Mark McGuire routine. I don't want to talk about the past, all that song and dance. Um, and just bizarre. I mean, just I'm not sure how anybody advising him in this situation, his agent, manager, any of those people, um, yeah, even if you're not gonna be honest about it, fess up or whatever, if that's the best plan that he's got to somehow reshape his image or whatever he's attempting to do while he's sitting there without a team, they did a pretty poor job. It's just incredible. I mean, you almost can't even get through the whole thing. And then when Schefter asks him what exactly did happen, when he's not pulling the Mark McGuire routine, he's saying, "Oh, it was something along the lines of how he was wrong, what he did was wrong, but how he didn't hit her, but he was wrong." And they said, "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, we're not going to talk about it anymore." It's just bizarre. It just doesn't make any sense. And like I said, I think we've reached a point where that potential, that on-field production, all of that stuff, um, the problems outweigh it, and you hear people talk about that all the time. When the problems outweigh the talent, you're kind of done, kind of out of luck. As long as the talent outweighs the problems, they'll forgive you. They'll give you another chance. That's why Michael Vick is still playing in the league. Um, that's why he can go, do what he did, and get out of jail and have a team, waiting to sign him right out of the gate. That's why his little brother is not playing, or didn't have a very long career after doing whatever it was he did. If you can play, as long as you don't kill anybody, you tend to get that second chance. Or third chance or fourth chance or what have you, depending on how serious the offense is. And that's been talked about to death, but it's true. It's a good point, and I think a lot of people don't seem to grasp that, the ones who still wonder why Michael Vick's playing and all that song and dance. But I think Greg Hardy is tiptoeing across that line at this point. Well, he's still sitting there on the free agency market, waiting for somebody to sign him. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the ball game might be over for Greg Hardy, which you know, anytime you see a guy squander as much talent as he has, it's sad. It's disappointing, and even worse, what happened to his girlfriend or fiance, whatever her connection to him. You know, it's too bad that the situation is what it is, and hopefully that the NFL will step up and make an example, and nobody will take that step to give him another chance. I think it's done. I think it's over with for Greg Hardy. So, yeah, big weekend for controversy. Excuse me. A lot of tough news for athletes making mistakes. Had 2 DUIs. Abby Wambach kind of took the lead on that one, and Troy Smith. For those of you who remember, Troy Smith, Heisman Trophy winner from Ohio State, didn't really do much in the NFL, but 2 DUIs over the weekend too, and that's where you just wonder why somebody, especially of Abby Wambach's pedigree, doesn't have a driver at all times in any questionable situation. But that's keeps happening for whatever the reason may be. But Greg Hardy kind of taking the lead, and those two kind of following behind him. But that's how it goes. That's how it goes. But we got opening week baseball. I was watching, going back and forth between the national championship and the Rockies game last night. The Rockies actually got the win. Doesn't happen a whole lot. Got to take those and enjoy them as much as you can. But got the win over the D-backs on the road. Smacked Zach Greinke around pretty good, which they're coming out today saying that he was pitching with the flu, which if that's true, then I imagine that's tough to be at your best. But enjoyed that. Enjoyed watching that. It's just incredible how a franchise with as much talent and as much of a chance as those guys have to maybe put something together based on the offense that they got, they just can't seem to get that pitching situation figured out. I mean, even in the midst of the win, you still got old Jorge De La Rosa atop that rotation. So hopefully one of those pitchers is a John Gray or a Jordan Lyles, Hartsville native Jordan Lyles, or somebody along those lines can find a rhythm and make something happen in that rotation. But I imagine most of you listening to this don't care about the Rockies very much, and I don't really blame you. But opening week of baseball. Like I said, keep an eye out for those 2 columns. Should be out. Like I said, the first one will be out tomorrow morning, hopefully, and the next one should follow pretty soon after. But should be got NHL playoffs coming up here pretty soon. Speaking of Colorado teams underachieving, the Avalanche doing their best to miss out rather on the postseason for the second year in a row, which is always fun. And got the NBA playoffs following pretty soon after that. So we'll have plenty of coming up here on the horizon to keep us occupied. Until then, we got opening month of baseball, and college baseball is still going on too. Good to see the Gamecocks back in the swing of things. For those of you college baseball fans out there, they're doing finally back to their winning ways, it appears. So hopefully that stretch continues. But anyway, good to be back on the podcast. Still trying to figure out the best format for this thing. Hopefully can start in the future have some other voices on here with me chatting about whatever's going on at the moment. I'm going to try to put one of these up every Tuesday going forward, to just chat about whatever may be going on at the moment. Like I said, mostly baseball coming up here, but we'll have a lot to talk about once the NHL and NBA playoffs get going, and we've got the draft coming up. I forgot all about the draft. Got the draft. We're going to be talking all about the draft a lot on here, and posting some mocks coming up here. Hopefully, get the first one up by the end of the week. So a lot of draft stuff coming up. That's going to be real fun. Past few years, drafts become surprisingly one of my favorite events of the year, sporting events of the year. Who'd have thought that would happen? But yeah, gonna have plenty of that going on. So, but anyway, that's gonna do it for today. Tune in, keep an eye out on frontrowreservation.com. Got a lot of content coming your way over the next week, and going forward, like I said, keep an eye out for the podcast on Tuesdays, and should be fun. But anyway, it's going to do it for the Front Row Podcast. I am Ryan Velasquez, and I will talk to you next time.